everybody.
Happy Friday, everyone. It is November 10th, week 10 of the NFL. We are popping my first guest, Triple S Cherry, on the show today with the crew. Jovan, how's it going?
Great. Happy to be here. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Any thoughts, feelings about that really riveting game that we got to see last night?
Dude, I mean, I didn't pay too much attention to it in the second half, but I'm really hating myself for watching any minutes of that first half. That was disgusting. That was like the penultimate primetime game.
Just absolutely fucking awful. And it doesn't get better. Like the primetime games coming up, actually, some of them get worse.
Yeah, we just gotta march through it. Sunday slates are good enough though, so we just gotta take for what we get.
For sure. And we'll jump right into the Sunday slate. So we do smash or pass on the show. I'm gonna give you the side total, whatever it is. You're going to let me know what the vibe is on that. First one up, smash or pass. Houston Texans plus 6.5 at Cincy. That did open at 7. Where are you at?
Gladly pass. I think this is a smash spot for the Bengals. On our show, I actually had one of my favorite plays of the weekend is the Texans team total under. So I think it's a little tough of a spot for the Texans and CJ Stroud because I did like the Bucs last week. I took the Bucs cash by a miracle, but they sent a lot of blitzes on them like early in the game. Then corners got hurt for the Bucs, so they couldn't do the same thing. I think it's going to be a little more of that from the Bengals. I think like to a degree, the book might be out on CJ Stroud. People just don't realize it yet.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The only thing that I caught my eye is just that it is kind of a little bit of a look ahead spot because the Bengals do have 2 divisional games coming up the next 2 weeks. That's the only thing that makes me hesitant. I'm not going to take the Texans here, but move on to you are a Tampa Bay fan, aren't you?
I am.
You are? Okay. So here's one for you. Smash or pass Tampa Bay money line this week.
Smash. And this is not a bias pick. I don't make heart picks, heart bets. I actually 2 weeks ago we went to the Bucs game for a trip, and I took Desmond Ridder on the money line. So that's how you know how devoted or non-devoted of a fan I am when it comes to bets. But this week, kind of the same thing. Like the Bucs send a lot of pressure. That's what Todd Bowles does, and Will Levis didn't show that he could handle that all that well against the Steelers. So I don't see much changing. Obviously, like that's a tougher defense, tougher environment that he had against Pittsburgh, but. Right. I don't think he'll be very successful against this defense. So as much as I have disdain for Baker Mayfield, I do like the Bucs in that game.
I am very happy for everyone that wants to be in on Mayo Boy, as I like to call him. I'm just not there yet. I still think that I need a little bit more time before I'm about to be getting excited about him. Is that fair?
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, showing flashes. It's like, I guess when you have Ryan Tannehill, like there's only, you can go so far down. It's just like optimism, I guess, is key. The Titans offense looks better than it's looked in maybe a handful of years. So, I mean, I think he'll be good. It's just, there's certain situations. He's still young. It's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah. I was a little bit lower on Tampa Bay than I think a lot of people were going into the season, but in kind of a nice way, I think that you guys are, you should look a little bit more towards the future, and the winning games right now is maybe not.
Oh, yeah.
There's no such thing as tanking. I get it. When you want to win games, but what is like the best case scenario for this Tampa Bay team for you looking at the draft?
So coming into this season, I was very low on them too. And honestly, they surprised me the first couple of weeks. And I was, kind of in a situation where I thought I was maybe going to be wrong and Baker was going to surprise me, but like ideally, I would love for them to lose a couple games and then we see Kyle Trask for the next couple of weeks or end of the season, which I thought would be the plan coming into the season. I'm not in on winning this division or trying to win the division, so I just waved the white flag. They have like no assets, so like we need to get some.
It's and a little bit. There's some position groups that are getting a little bit geriatric. What about the total in that game? 39 right now.
I think that might be a sneaky over in that game, which I like a lot of points just in general this week. I think like Will Levis will find some success like at some point because the Bucs allow a lot of big plays, but I think the mistakes will be there too, which like the only time you can look and the Bucs have scored a good amount of points is off of a lot of turnovers. And I wouldn't be surprised if Levis has a couple of those this week, and Baker could have a pretty good day too. So sneaky over for me
Baker
there.
surprised me. He's shut me up a little bit. I will give Baker. I'm not going to give him his flowers, but I would give him a Coors Light if we were at. I would buy him a Coors Light.
That's fair.
He shut me up. I'm not giving him his flowers, but I would buy him, a couple Coors Light at the bar. We'll move on to this next game that I think is getting a lot of attention. I don't know how I totally feel yet about this game. So smash or pass, 49ers -3 in Jacksonville. Gosh, everyone loves the fucking Jacksonville Jaguars.
Smash. This is one of my favorite bets of the NFL season, 49ers -3, and will actually be there. So I'll be excited to sweat this out in Jacksonville. But I guess we'll talk about that when we get to the prop side of everything too. But I love the 49ers getting healthy, coming off of a bye against a Jags team that's feasted against a lot of, shitty offenses, to be frequently, just blatantly honest here, the last couple of weeks. Yeah. Bad offenses, bad quarterbacks. And I don't think that's going to be the same. And I think Brock Purdy is kind of in a middle point. I'm not going to go out and say he's an MVP candidate like we were trying to say for a couple of weeks at the beginning of the season. But it's not nearly as bad as we saw the couple of weeks before the bye. And I think people will find that out on Sunday.
Yeah, I think this is a good spot for the 49ers to kind of get right. Not that they were wrong, because they just weren't exactly the 49ers that everyone was talking about and crowning to win the Super Bowl immediately. So I think 49ers off a bye, there were some DMPs on the line. That might be the only thing that kind of concerns me. But I think Purdy gets it done here.
Love it.
Jacksonville, everyone loves Trevor Lawrence. That's another one that I don't know.
A little too much.
Yeah, too much. All right, we'll go to the next one. Another Cinderella story. Smash or pass, Vikings +2.5 at home versus the New Orleans Saints.
I'm going to say pass. And I love Josh Dobbs, I think, as much as everybody does at this point. He is awesome and looks like a Hall of Fame quarterback at times. But Saints defense, I'm a little worried about for Josh Dobbs, especially because if you're going through your progressions against the Falcons defense and trying to piece that together, I know you have a week now, so it's a different scenario with, I don't know if you heard the story about what he was doing in the huddle and in between the huddle and the snap. Yeah. People don't realize how insane that is. And I'm like,
the saying, oh, I'm not a rocket scientist. Only a rocket scientist could pull that off. That shows you his level of intelligence.
Yeah. And I'm talking from somebody who's played football, briefly throughout my childhood. And obviously I'm not a quarterback, but I'm very familiar with everything they have to go through mentally. And if you watch the quarterback series with Kirk Cousins, the other Vikings quarterback, you should know damn well this is ridiculous to do on the fly like that. So now they just had a week to prepare. It's a little bit different, but this is still a really tough front seven for the Saints to go against. So I think this is a pretty tough spot for him against that defense. So I kind of like the Saints in that game.
Yeah, and the Saints play really well on the road. It's kind of not everyone.
For whatever reason. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think, the whole Pasternaut thing is very exciting, and I'm excited for them. But also, if the Vikings win this game, they're going to probably – I just can't fully get there, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. Just because the Vikings defense, though, the past 4 weeks, I would say they're kind of figuring it out, and it's meshing a little bit better. I don't know what the Saints are right now. I'm still fully not – I don't understand it. I don't know what the plan is. Check down Carr. We'll see what happens there, especially after an emotional win with the Vikings. I was in on it, Monday, but I think that was me just, being emotional with them and being excited for Josh Dobbs. He's so likable. But I think that's kind of, the more you sit on it, it falls to the wayside a little bit more.
Yeah, I am probably as much a big Derek Carr hater as I think everybody is at this point, but I kind of think he has a pretty big game this week against a defense, like you said. I think they're starting to figure it out, so I have a lot of respect for the Vikings defense. They've been good. Something in the guts telling me Derek Carr is going to pull that little magic game out of his ass that we see, a time or two a year where he just looks really, really good, inspire some confidence in somebody.
And I hate saying it, but he's kind of due for it, right? And this is the perfect time to do it. Just crush everyone's dreams, the Dobbs dreams, go in there and just spank the Vikings. That would be exactly what, he does it once or twice a year.
It's such a Derek Carr spot to do it. And I just have that feeling.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'll talk about one of those props when we get to it. All right, I'll let you pick for the next one. Do you want something from Steelers, Packers, or Bills Broncos?
Steelers, Packers.
Okay. Steelers -3. Smash or pass?
I'm going to say pass.
Okay.
This is another game that I sneakily like, one of the low totals. We talked about a little bit this all week, but kind of like points in this game. And I like both these offenses that have struggled for really all season to kind of put it together here. And I think Jordan Love, I hate the Jordan Love slander. Not that I think he's such a fantastic quarterback, but like if you watch the games, especially like last week when they couldn't really put up much points, they didn't have to because you had Brett Ripien on the other side in the rain. So like they're very conservative. B, all of these fumbles by Aaron Jones and Romeo Dobbs or Dontavian Wick or whoever had it, like those aren't Jordan Love's fault. So like, while I don't think he's the greatest quarterback in the world, I think the hate's a little out of control. But I do think with a fully healthy Aaron Jones in a situation where like you need to use him, especially like in the check down pass game. Yeah. That's when the Packers are at their best. It's like I think that comes against the Steelers. I do think the Steelers run the ball pretty well against the Packers, but I think it's going to be a sneaky shootout possibly.
Yeah, I am with you on that. I do think that the Jordan Love hate is getting a little bit out of control. I think if you look at it big picture, there's some things that, let's give him a little bit of grace. Not too much grace, a little bit of grace here. And I think you can run the ball against the Steelers defense, which doesn't sound like an accurate statement, but it is. And I think if it can be a big Aaron Jones day, you could see the Steelers maybe potentially end up losing this game because they are another example. I don't know what's up with the AFC North here because they're a look ahead to 2 divisional games too. I don't know. I have to look at all the schedules. I don't know if they all like just packed them into the last.
They did that at the beginning of the season too. They had like the Browns start the season with 2 straight divisional opponents. Like, dude, that's hard to do. Like back-to-back divisional games.
That sucks. Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
I don't know what we're doing here. All right, let's get into some props. Maybe throw a dad lay together. What are you looking at this week as far as player props?
Okay, so I know you love interception props, taking plus money.
I love an interception prop.
One of my favorite things to do is the opposite and take under interception props.
I've been doing that lately.
Yeah, so mine this week is Brock Purdy, who is going up against the Jags, who have the most takeaways in the league. I think they're 18, tied with the Saints. 9 picks in the last 5 games they forced. Like a couple of those were Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder. So I mean, take it for what it's worth. There's still a really good defense at producing turnovers. Brock Purdy also is coming off of the 2 multi-pick games from before the bye week. But like I said, now you're getting Trent Williams back, most likely a big anchor of production. You're getting Debo back. So I don't think they're going to be pushing the ball as much down the field, A, because you have Debo, and B, because I think they'll be winning the game and controlling it from the start with McCaffrey in the run game too. So I like him to not throw a pick. And when like I look through it all and I see what lines up with like on paper, I guess this would be an easy spot for a pick. And then you look and you see it's -130 and -135 for him not to throw a pick. So Vegas knows something, and I'm on that side.
And I think part of it is like Shanahan is going to go back to making sure he's not in a position to throw one. I think this is a bigger game for the 49ers than it maybe actually is. But since there's so much media bullshit going on, you put Purdy in good spots. You get Debo back. You have Trent Williams, hopefully. I'm not sure if he practiced today, but I like that.
He did, I believe. I looked at that, which is huge.
Nice. All right. So Sam Laporta, we are both big fans of. What do you like better? I can't decide. I think I lean his receptions over. It's over 4.5, or his receiving yards is 50.5. But Goff absolutely peppers him with targets.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've kept up with this, but we have our little Prize Picks World Championship.
Yes, I know. I want to hear. Did you guys post this?
We did. And Sam Laporta is in it. His receptions, which was my suggestion there.
I love it.
Yeah, so I mean the Chargers get destroyed by tight ends. They get destroyed over the middle of the field. If you look at like Sam Laporta has, I think 430 something yards over the season so far, and 200 just about of those have come between the hashes and passes of 5 to 10 yards. So I think this is going to be him getting peppered with little short check downs against the zone, which Jared Goff is just so good at doing. And that Chargers defense is god awful against the pass. So we went with receptions.
I love it. All right. What else do you got for me?
What else do we have that's in that entry?
And I'm throwing this into a parlay here. So we're gonna put this shit into a parlay and see what we come out with here.
A little parlay. I mean, I have never have any issue doing that. Another one that we took that I really, really liked was Sam Howell over pass attempts, which is 36.5, which I mean, they have him going out there and throwing 47, 52 the last handful of weeks. But they're going up against the Seahawks, which really good run defense. So they've been so far this season, and the Commanders really can't run the ball all that effectively, whether it's between Brian Robinson or Antonio Gibson. Gibson's been kind of phased out of the offense at this point to a degree, but Brian Robinson, I don't think is going to be efficient. And I think that 6.5 line for the Seahawks, 6.5, in my mind, looks a little large. So, like, I think that's kind of telling that the Seahawks and Geno Smith are going to dominate and dice up that secondary. So the Commanders playing from behind. It's kind of how I see it. So we took that over 36.5.
Okay, I like that too. I'll stay in that game while I pull it up and add that anyways. I like JSN to actually go over his 3.5 receptions. I think Metcalf is a little bit banged up still. He's been going over his props with ease as his role has expanded a little bit. And I think it's still, the books haven't quite caught up with where he is in this Seattle offense. And I just see him, you look at longest reception, receiving yards, I don't really care what it is, but I lean the receptions for him. I think it's a little bit safer.
I like that. We were talking about this game and trying to pick something on the Seattle offense because I think between Lockett, between DK, we all kind of loved their spots, and it was tough to pick. So we just avoided it and said, all right, they're just going to bludgeon them, and Commanders coming from behind. But yeah, we talked about JSN and Lockett a good bit. I like those.
Anything else that you are liking?
I like Breece Hall this week. In the Sunday night tuck in, I believe his rush yards is 63.5, going up against a Raiders defense that is just god awful against the run. Breece Hall, like since that Denver game, he hasn't really had like the game that he's just getting enough touches to just explode. Plus, he's been going against like really good run defenses in comparison to the Raiders. So on Sunday night, where I think the Jets are in a pretty good spot as an offense, which I guess you can't really say that all that often, I like him to have one of those games.
I like that quite a bit. And that's really pretty low for him. They've just been using him a lot in the receiving game, but that's more because of Zach Wilson. I don't know that that's actually schemed up for him to be used a little bit more in the receiving game. Yeah.
So, I mean, I usually would love to take a receiving angle, get a little like Russian receiving with Breece Hall, but I don't know that you need it this week because I think you're kind of allowed to be super conservative and give the ball to him on the ground like 15, 20 times this week.
And I think you could just go back to what he does best and why you have him there on your roster. Okay, another rushing yards. Speaking of our guy Dobbs, so I will be a little bit positive about him. I like him to go over his rushing yards. It's like 27 and a half. He is so slippery. And I think even though he has a week under his belt, I don't think that that's going to be quite enough for him. He's still going to take off when he wants to take off and he wants to change the play or whatever he wants to do. The Saints let Bagent run for like 70 yards last week. So I think him going over the 27, he's played 9 games this season and he's gone over this 7 of them. And a lot of those games, it's by a lot. 66 last week, I think.
Yeah, I like that. I think you're going to get a lot of, I mean, the reason why I think I kind of lean the Saints in that game is because I think their secondary is going to lock up for a bit. So get him out of the pocket against a really good front 7 too. I know that the Vikings offensive line has been good all season, but I think he's going to be forced to run a couple times because nobody's going to be open.
100%. Like that. All right. Any last things you want to add to this? We're actually at plus 922 right now. Not bad.
That sounds about right. I think that's just about all I got.
All right. Awesome. I will let you get out of here. Any last bet? Any college bets you want to add? I know that that's kind of your flavor too.
Ooh, college bets. We talking college football this weekend?
Yeah.
I love the Cal Golden Bears on the money line this week against Washington State, which I'm a big fan of that team. They're not very good, but I think they're in a great spot to dominate the run game, which is why I'm taking them. We were talking about this on our show too, that we were talking about it and it went from -1 to -2.5 in a heartbeat. So glad I got in early, but that's what I'm on this week.
I love it. All right. I was supposed to be at the Arizona-Colorado game. My plans changed. I'm very upset about it. I was excited to go.
I'm a TCU guy, so I don't know that I can go and watch Colorado again. I'm still hurt from week one. We're like TCU is literally the reason that Colorado got all the gas. I'm just
There you go. See, there's always an angle that you can take on it.
Always is, just everywhere.
All right, you're great. Let everyone know where they can find you so that they can follow your stuff. And
I'm mainly on Twitter. The handle you see there, Jovan_Deeb. We run a show Monday through Friday on the Bookit Sports Twitter called Behind the Lines, where we dive into a lot of the games that are happening that day. So feel free to tune into that. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. I have to get you back on soon. I'll let you get out of here, and good luck this weekend.
For sure. Appreciate it. You too.
Yeah. And then I'll let produce. Oh, look at Andrew's on. I didn't know if you were backstage. I'm so excited. Okay. Hi, another SGPN guy. It seems to be a theme for me these days. I've got Andrew with me. We're finally going to talk some fantasy. Everyone's been begging for it. I'm going to deliver. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me on. I was excited when you hit me up. And we can talk whatever you want. Anything football, fantasy, betting, you name it, we're in it.
I love it. All right. Why don't you tell me quick your feelings about the Commanders, and then we'll jump right into some of these sits that everyone sent in.
Yeah, Commanders up and down season. Obviously, it looked like they were kind of throwing the towel in a little bit by trading Montez Sweat and Chase Young. I'm okay with the Sweat trade. They got good compensation for it. The Young trade kind of sucks, only getting a third-round pick. It's a compensatory pick at that as well, so it's not ideal. But I think that they weren't going to pay either of them moving forward, so they just kind of got what they could get for them and moved on. But season-wise, they are the first team on the bubble outside of the playoffs, so that's good. And Sam Howell has been doing awesome. He's currently quarterback 6 in total fantasy points scored and second overall in yards passed. So Commanders overall are they're hanging in there, but I temper expectations.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up. They're gonna screw me. I did take their under this year, but I think they could sneak their way into the playoffs potentially. I don't know if that's. I think they're in a good spot, though. You're figuring out what Howell is. You see what? Do you think Ron Rivera is back next year?
God, I hope not. I'm hoping that they get rid of him and Jack Del Rio. Both of them just kind of old school. No care, it seems like, on the sidelines. Jack Del Rio's defense is like from the 1980s, and it's just old school. I think that we need some fresh blood in there, especially with new ownership. So I'm hoping not. I think, though, that if they happen to make it to the playoffs and maybe win a wild card game, I think that saves him. If they miss the playoffs, I'm pretty sure he's gone. So I don't know. I wanted to make the playoffs because I love, seeing them in the playoffs. But at the same time, if it gets rid of Ron Rivera, I'm okay with them not making it in either.
You know what sucks for us, and then we will jump into these fantasy questions, is we're in the NFC East, and there's such a big gap between our team. Despite us sneaking out wins against each other every once in a while, the Giants do not do that against the Eagles or the Cowboys. You guys have the Eagles number quite a bit. We don't know how to do that, but it sucks that we're in this type of division, especially where we are as a franchise, because it's not just going to take 1 year to be able to get back to where kind of they are, this, NFC beast. There's two beasts in the NFC East. And it's not either of our teams.
No, unfortunately not.
We would love that, but it's not. All right, let's talk about some of these starter sits. People sent in a bunch of them. So we'll start with this first one here from Bobby Spence. Odell or Michael Thomas?
Yeah, I'm going to go Michael Thomas there. He's seeing more opportunities. Odell has a tough matchup against the Browns this week. So, that one's pretty easily Michael Thomas. And I think that he's a live dog for a touchdown as well.
I love that. Yeah, it's something to look at. I do like Shaheed quite a bit this week too, but a little bit more in the props, less about fantasy there. The Browns are just so good. They're allowing like second least fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. So he's in the groove, but I think that maybe stops this week. Next one up here, Colin Jordan asked, basically, he has to start two of these guys, George Pickens, Romeo Doubs, Drake London, or Noah Brown.
Ooh.
I didn't think my response would consider Noah Brown, but after looking at the way his involvement starts to climb and against the Bucks, I kind of don't hate it.
Yeah, give me all those again one time.
Was that? Say them again.
Yeah, if you can.
Okay, George Pickens, Romeo Dobbs, Drake London, and Noah Brown.
Man. Probably going to go Pickens just for the big play opportunity. Noah Brown is interesting if Nico Collins for sure does not play. I don't know if I want to buy right into it though, because Dalton Schultz is still heavily involved. They have Tank Dell that they really like. So I'm not sure I want to fully buy into the Noah Brown having a huge game again. So I'd probably say Pickens, but Noah Brown's in contention for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty out on Romeo this week. I think his involvement just hasn't quite been there. And then against the Steelers defense, I'm kind of out. We'll move on to this next one. Mitch E. I have to pick between Ayuk, Lockett, and Kirk. Who gets benched? That's a tough one.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. I'm probably going to play Kirk for sure. I like that the Niners defense have been getting torched as of recent through the air. So I'm going to take Kirk because I do think the Niners are going to be up in that game. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot, Jacksonville, that is. And if DK doesn't play, I'll take Lockett. If not, I'll take Ayuk.
Yeah, I think Ayuk is more like a ceiling type play. And even with this, bad Brock Purdy play, you still saw him kind of like the last game he played 5 receptions, 109 yards. So, and part of that, Debo not being there, but I think Ayuk just the ceiling wise, I might lean towards him, but otherwise I am with you. This next one from HRV at wide receiver in a TD only league, that sounds fun.
Okay.
Brandon Cook, this is tough though. This one I saw and I actually have already tried to think it through, so I'm excited to see what your response is. Brandon Cooks, Devontae Adams, or Zay Flowers, because none of those are sexy. Like nothing about any of those as far as touchdown only league entices me, because you have Adams who hasn't had TD in week 3. You've got, new leadership kind of in there for the time being. Zay Flowers has 1 touchdown. They're going against a pretty tough defense in the Browns. And Cooks is the type of guy that's going to have spike weeks. Is that going to come from against the Giants, or are they just going to run the shit out of the ball and maybe that opportunity isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think this is a Tony Pollard week for the Cowboys. I do think that they are going to put it on the Giants a little bit, and I think Pollard's going to be the most benefited out of that. I'm going to take Adams just because I think he's the one who's going to get the most opportunities in the red zone. Cooks, if it's not a long touchdown, he's not going to get one. Zay Flowers, as you mentioned, has 1 TD on the year. The Browns are really tough against wide receivers, and Mark Andrews is the only tight end, I believe, to have a touchdown against the Browns. So I think Mark Andrews is in play again for a touchdown. So I think also the Browns are missing some defensive linemen right now that may not play. That's going to open it up for Gus Edwards to get touchdowns. So I'll go Adams. He seems like the best one there, but I mean, as you mentioned, they're all kind of less than ideal candidates.
Yeah, they're all a little gross. We'll move on to this next one a little bit interesting. We have Dalton at DJackman94 on Twitter. D-Hop, Godwin, or Amari Cooper for my flex. I'm already starting Mike Evans. So I might have had a different opinion if he didn't add that extra little line there where he let us know that he is also starting Mike Evans, because I don't know that we're getting an Evans and a Godwin week this week. Yeah. So where do you lean on this before I give my little opinion here?
I do think that the Bucks Titans game is going to provide more points than people may think it is. So I'm probably going to go D-Hop. Will Levis had a really good game the first week he was out there. Last week, not great. I do expect him to bounce back a little bit with D-Hop. So I'll go D-Hop. And I'm assuming you were going to take Godwin if he said that he didn't have Evans.
Yeah, and I think but then you think about Amari Cooper, and as far as betting goes, I was eyeing out his unders a little bit this week. So it's hard for me in good faith to say Amari Cooper. So I've always been the person to kind of if you can have productive offense, and I'm okay with you starting 2 wide receivers from one team too. So I think that there might be enough. This game might end up being higher scoring than people think. I don't know. This one's tough.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is. I mean, Cooper, the problem is the Ravens, are great defensively. They are just firing on all cylinders. I can't believe that they're going to do that. I think if the Browns are going to beat the Ravens at all, I think the way they need to do it is control the ball by running it and play good defense. I don't think it's going to be through the air. So I'll stay away from Cooper. It'll be D-Hop for me.
All right, cool. All right, we've got John Smithenheimer. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. I'm sure this is a question that a lot of people are going to have. Should I be confident enough to start Kyler Murray this week or wait to see his performance and start him next week based on week 10 performance?
I'd love to see who else this person has on the team and what the waiver wire looked like to give an honest opinion. But yeah, I mean, I'm staying away from Kyler Murray. I can't trust it. First week back, the new Call of Duty's coming out this weekend. So, I mean, he's going to be all over that as well. So yeah, I'm not putting him in the lineup, anywhere really. And I'm sure there's probably better opportunities and the players that you have either on the bench or on the waiver wire.
Yeah, even a Josh Dobbs even sounds a little bit more enticing maybe than Kyler this week. I know in some leagues I'm desperate. Even in some of my dynasty leagues, I thought I was tanking and now Kyler is coming back. And it's like, can I just pretend that you're still on IR? So I have to play you. I'm trying to tank right now and you're ruining that. So can you just settle down a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, next one here in a Superflex league. We'll be starting 2 of the 4 quarterbacks. Who do I choose? Dobbs, Murray, Russell Wilson, and Taylor Heineke.
Oh my God. That's tough. None of them are in my top 12 this week. I'm going to take Dobbs just because I think that organically he's going to need to run the ball a little bit. The Saints defense is very good as well. So I think he's going to take off and run. We saw it last week when he came in the game. So I think that that's going to happen. Oh my God. I hate to say it after I just said don't start Murray, but it's probably Murray. It's between him and Heineke, but I don't know if I trust Heineke yet because Arthur Smith has been less than ideal with play calling, and God knows what that man is thinking at all times of the day. So it's probably Dobbs and Murray. But temper your expectations with Murray.
Yeah, I'm with you on that because when I was looking at this, God, Arizona is giving up a lot to opposing quarterbacks, but I just can't get there in good faith and tell someone to start. So I would rather just shoot for the ceiling here, hope that Murray comes back and he's like, let me run all over the field like we're used to him doing. So I'm actually with you on both of them. Russ was never an option for me. I'm pretty anti-Russ Wilson at this point, as most people know. It's going to be very rare that you get me saying anything positive about Russell Wilson, unfortunately. Although he has played better. I think that he's not getting enough credit. His stats look better than probably what people are assuming, saying about Arthur Smith, who is driving the internet fucking crazy. Boom. This handle is at boom_sausage. Great handle. Bijan or Ramondre. And they can't believe we are here.
Yeah, that is a tough one. Man, you know what? Arizona has given up a ton of yardage and touchdowns to running backs. It's going to be Bijan, and let's just hope Arthur Smith doesn't completely fuck this up. I mean, Bijan has such a prime opportunity to have a massive game. If Arthur Smith can just give him more goal line work, which, again, does not look like it's happening, but if they can give him more goal line work, I mean, there is serious 2-touchdown opportunity here for him. And I really think that he's going to probably get closer to 100 yards all purpose as well. So I expect a big game from Bijan, but he's really going to have to do it on his own with the opportunities that Arthur Smith's willing to give him. I mean, it is nuts that we are here, talking between those two guys. I think he's fine either way, though. Like, both those running backs are good. I guess I'll lean Bijan.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I also think that there is a very high chance that both of these guys end up scoring very similar because the Colts also are giving up a shitload of fantasy points to opposing running backs. So it wouldn't shock me if both these guys have really good weeks. Before I let you get out of here, who is a sneaky starter this week that you have for fantasy?
It's a good question. Sneaky starter. Any particular position you want to focus on?
Let's stay away from quarterback. What about tight end?
Tight end. Okay, I like that.
People are always looking for a tight end.
Yeah, I think guys that probably aren't going to be started in more than 80% of leagues, but potentially should be. Do like David Njoku a little bit against Baltimore. Baltimore's very good against wide receivers. They're about middle of the pack against tight ends. I could see him scoring a touchdown, having 6 or 7 targets. So that's somebody I really like, as well as Taysom Hill. I mean, God almighty, they just let this man do whatever the hell he wants in this offense. He's getting a ton of looks in the red zone. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to fade Taysom Hill right now. I mean, he plays all over the field. And when you can slide in, that into your tight end slot, it is very valuable. So Taysom Hill, I think is a good one as well. Last one, just because Tampa Bay sucks against tight ends, I'm going to take my boy Chig. He's, also going to get, I think Chig's going to get some opportunities this week. No Traylon Burks, D-Hop's there. I do think, again, like I said, this game's going to put up more points than the general public thinks it will. Yeah. So Chig is a deep sleeper there for anybody who needs to start him.
Yeah, I like it. I tweeted out yesterday that I think the Illuminati consists of Jason and Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, the Tush Push, and fourth that was going to be on there and I ended up deleting it was Taysom Hill. Like, that is the Illuminati to me. I don't know how Taysom Hill still continues to be a fantasy headache, but he does. You are lovely. Let everyone know where they can find you and I will get you out of here. Sure.
Yeah. As always on Twitter, like everybody else, at Raub23. You can check out Sports Gambling Podcast and Network. You'll find me on the the SGPN Fantasy Football YouTube page. There's daily videos and I'm on every Wednesday or as needed as well. So appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. You're the best. I'll have you on soon. See ya.
All right. See ya.
And then it's Munaf Fridays as always. I'm so excited. Hi. I can't hear you. We got to do it every week. God, unmute.
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you. Thank goodness. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Was it a hair washing day for you?
It was a hair washing day yesterday. It was very sad. I almost messaged you to let you know. Was it a beard washing day?
It was on Wednesday. It'll be one tonight as well, or maybe tomorrow. We'll see how my mood is.
I threw a little tantrum about my hair washing yesterday, especially when it doesn't line up with my shows, or then you go to the gym and it gets all messed up. It's a disaster.
What's been going on?
What? Do you have props for me or what?
I mean, Joe, why do you think I'm freaking here? Yeah, I got props for you.
I know.
All right.
What do you got? Let's hear it.
I'll start with my best bet. Sunday night football game. You need something to root for, right? I mean, golly, Jets and Raiders on Sunday night in week 10.
Exactly.
Breece Hall, over 63.5 rushing yards.
Okay.
Golly, you take a look at this Raiders rush defense. It's been absolutely atrocious to start the season. Also, I have a long whole spiel. I'm not going to give you everything that's in there, but I will say this. So
Spark notes. We like
Spark notes. Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So they've faced 9 running backs. 7 of those have gone over this projection of 63.5. And now the other 2 that didn't combined went over this number of 63.5. So it was Patriots with Ramondre Stevenson. He had 46. And then Zeke had 34. So that equates to 80. And then we have to go all the way back to week 1. Javonte Williams had 52, and then Samaje Perine, of all people, had 41. So they combined for 93. So I think Breece Hall, I think the training wheels, quote unquote, have come off because last week he had 20 rush attempts. And he had that great game against Denver. I want to say it'll be a repeat performance of that. But if it is, great. But I really do like Breece Hall this week to go over his rushing yards of 63.5 right now.
I love it. And I guess earlier I liked it too. So I guess I'm going to have to follow it. I know you and I both like a certain type of prop, and it's a longest reception. That's something that we are on very similar. We're on the same page a lot of the time. So I'm going to tell you the one that I like this week is actually JSN, longest reception over 18.5. We don't like to look at trends. He has gone over this 3 straight games, though. Commander secondary is kind of stinky. And I think that Metcalf a little up. I'm also on JSN's over receptions too, but he can get this very 18.5 is not asking for much here.
This was something that we talked about on my show that I noticed with the Commander secondary, that they were giving up 40 plus long pass completions to the quarterbacks that they were facing. And I think the way to shrink that is, like you just mentioned, is just find a receiver. That's a downfield threat. I think JSN is really that guy. Him and I think obviously Tyler Lockett as well. But yeah, I definitely could see it could be a JSN week for the Seahawks. So yeah, I love it. Let me go over. I have 2 in the Vikings and the Saints game. And it's on the same team. And I don't know why.
I like it. Let's hear it.
So you and I have talked a lot about TJ Hawkinson.
Yes.
I know the Saints defense against the tight end position has been really good. I think they're the 4th best, or they're allowing the 4th least receiving yards to the Saints. But I think this is a pure like a target volume play. Last week we saw Josh Dobbs come in. He got 12 targets to TJ Hawkinson. That turned into 7 receptions for 69 yards. And right now that number's at 49.5 for Hawkinson. I do see that Justin Jefferson is questionable this week. I'm not sure how much playing time or how many snaps he'll play if he does in fact end up playing. I feel like they'll hold him out one more week, but I think this is a good spot for TJ Hawkinson. I know they have Jordan Addison, and I know KJ Osborne also had the head injury last week, but I like Hawk, man. Also, you go back to Josh Dobbs when he was with the Arizona Cardinals before he got traded over to the Vikings.
Yes.
I know Hollywood Brown had, I think, 80 some odd targets, but you take a look at the 2 tight ends there, Trey McBride and Zach Ertz. They had 40 plus targets each.
Yeah.
So Josh Dobbs loves his tight end. So I'm going to go back to TJ Hawkinson. I thought this number was a little lower than where I expected it to be. So give me Hawkinson over 49.5 receiving yards.
Yes, that is one of mine as well. I think you saw Dobbs liking him, and now obviously he's going to know the playbook a little bit more, but we might see a little bit of check down. I think Hawk ends up being a little bit of a safe option for him. Can't always rely on Mr. Madison for that role in that game. Before I let you move on, I said this earlier. I really like Dobbs to go over that 27.5 rushing yards.
That's my second one.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I love it. I actually might. I kind of like taking an alt line on that. Like I wouldn't mind if you push that up to like a 40, maybe even 50, to be honest. He's so slippery. He is so athletic, which is crazy because he's so fucking smart too. Like he has everything. It's amazing. Yeah. The Saints also let Mr. Agent Bajam, this guy still is figuring it out. I don't even understand. He's like such a story that could be talked about for hours, but they let him, the Saints gave him 70 on the ground almost, I think, something around there. And, he's going to learn the playbook. He's going to get some practice. He's very smart, but he's not afraid to take off. And we've seen him do that all year. I think he's only not gone over this twice this year. This seems pretty low for a guy that's quite mobile.
I agree 100%. I think that you're right. You probably want to ladder this up to 40, maybe 50 plus. But also goes back to like, okay, this is like his second or first full week of practice with the receivers. And I think there's still going to take some time for him to get used to the playbook and, chemistry with the receivers. So if he gets to his first read, he gets to his second read, those guys aren't there. I think his habit is going to be to just take off with the football and just make plays with his legs. So you also mentioned it with last week with the Bears quarterback going over his projection. I think a couple weeks back in week 7, Trevor Lawrence even had 59 rushing yards against this Minnesota Vikings defense, right? Against the Saints. So I like Josh Dobbs over 27.5 as well. We're in agreement about that.
Love it. What else you got here? I have one last one. You could talk about Alvin Kamara all day. I think that they're still setting those receiving and reception. I don't think receptions are out yet, or at least it wasn't when I was looking before the show. But his receiving, I feel obligated to continue to just take that. But what else do you have here before I get my last one?
So I like 2 more in another game, Jacksonville game and the San Francisco 49ers. I was surprised to see this number this low as well. I'm looking at Christian McCaffrey over on his receiving yards as well. That number was at 30.5 when I grabbed it. I see it at some books up to 32.5. But you take a look what some of the running backs have done against the Jaguars rush. It's not a rush defense or passing defense. Their rush defense is one of the best in the league. I think they're allowing the 4th least amount of rushing yards. But we know Christian McCaffrey, he can get it done running the football, but more importantly, at least for our sake and our player prop, he's going to get it done through the air in this game. So I'm looking at over 32.5 receiving yards. And then also, I'll give out one more here. Brock Purdy over on his pass attempts. That number is at 30.5. And you take a look at what quarterbacks are doing against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are throwing an average of 41 plus a 42. I'll round it up to 42. And that's the most, in the entire NFL. So I think for the 49ers this week, I think this was a good time for them to have the bye week, get guys healthy. They're coming off with 3 straight losses. I think we'll see the 49ers team led by Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy this week. Hopefully they do get the victory against the Jacksonville Jaguars here. Helps my Texans out in the AFC South a little bit as well. So I like those two for that Jaguars and the Niners game.
I like the Purdy one quite a bit here. My last one, not a sexy name. Kyle Phillips is a guy that Levis seems to like a little bit here. If you want to play it safe, his receptions 1.5 most books, but I actually like it on FanDuel at over 2.5 receptions plus 104. A little bit more risk, but I think that he's getting there, and it seems like Levis, seems to like him. He's not afraid to throw the ball downfield. So I like Kyle Phillips. I don't feel comfortable taking his receiving yards for some reason. I think it was, I don't remember what it was set at, but I think that the receptions is something I'm quite interested in.
I don't blame you. I think that you take a look at this Buccaneers secondary. They are allowing the most receiving yards to the wide receiver position. I think the focus this week for them will be trying to slow down DeAndre Hopkins, which opens up opportunities for other guys in that passing attack for the Titans led by Will Levis. So I can't talk you off of it, especially for receptions, right? I think
is Treylon hurt? I think Treylon might be hurt too. I don't know. I forget. No, maybe not. I could be making that up. Maybe I'm making things up. It's Friday. At this point, I could be making things up. You never know.
No, you're right. He didn't practice today. That was as of 2 hours ago. He's dealing with a concussion, so more than likely.
So it opens up a little bit more for him there. So just a random name. I asked people what they wanted to see more of on the show. They wanted player props. I'll give you fucking player props. That's what we got. Any last thing before I let you get out of here?
So I'll give you a Texans one. I'll give out 2 options here. So Nico Collins and both Dameon Pierce are going to be out this week with, I believe they both have ankle injuries. Yeah, they're both out.
Okay.
So you either want to look at, I've been all over Tank Dell early in the season before the market caught up. So there's a couple guys here. So you can look at Noah Brown if you want to look at it. He came back from being on the IR for the Texans. That's an option there, whether you want to go on his receiving yards or his receptions. And also do like Dalton Schultz to find the end zone. I think him and CJ Stroud have found some type of chemistry. He's had a touchdown at least in 4 of the last 5 weeks for the Texans. So being down Nico, being down Dameon Pierce, look for either Noah Brown and Dalton Schultz to have at least a big week through the air with CJ Stroud coming off that game he had last week. So there are a couple of homer picks I'll give you against the Bengals.
No, I love both of those. When I looked before the show, I didn't see any lines out on Noah Brown. I tweeted, put some Noah Brown lines out for me, you fucking cowards. I think that that's a really good look. Whatever those are, I probably will be peeping at their overs. I think you're onto something with Dalton Schultz. Anything else? I'll let you get out of here. Texans win this week or what? Do we cover? Give me something.
I actually took the Bengals minus the points.
Okay, of course you did. Gosh, damn it. You and your trauma.
I have to. I think the Bengals are playing really good right now. Their defense especially has been really impressive, especially not having Nico Collins, your number 1 guy. Yeah. And I think that for the Texans, I think a lot of people look at what CJ Stroud did last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, nearly thrown for 500 yards. And I think I'm selling high on the team right now. I just feel like the Bengals are on a different level right now. I know they're dealing with also some wide receiver injuries. I know T. Higgins is going to be out and Jamar Chase is questionable as well. But I think that the Bengals, especially at home, under a touchdown, I'll take them against my Texans.
All right, fine. Whatever. They're the only thing I have right now, but I'll let you get out of here. Hopefully you do great with your bets. Maybe I'll throw a parlay together of some of our picks. Let the people know where they can find you, and then you can go on your merry way.
Yeah, find me on Twitter at SportsNerd824. And obviously, you can find me on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, NBA Pod. If you're an NBA fan, come check us out. NFL Gambling Podcast, Propcast. We all only talk about player props on there as well. But just check out the website, sportsgamblingpodcast.com. And you can find me and producer McKee on Thursdays on the NBA Pod. So there we go.
Love it. And we'll let McKee get on here, let you out of here. Go enjoy your Friday. Thanks again. We'll see you next Friday. Munaf Friday.
Yes, ma'am. I'll talk to you next week.
See ya. And then producer Ryan.
Oh, hello.
How's it? Oh, look at you and your energy. Was I glitchy? How's it going?
No, you weren't glitchy. You're good. I
Are you
think
being
it
serious?
was a couple of glitches. Yeah, no,
Okay.
the Wi-Fi ended up being good. We were worried, had some technical problems this week. If we're letting you in on the back end, if you're still listening,
I was trying to be
had
very
some technical
still.
problems, but we are good to go now. We're off
Great.
and running.
Okay.
running.
Let's run through the quad Ds quick. Okay. Quad Ds.
You and your quadruple Ds.
My quadruple, my triple, depends on the day of the week. We have quadruple when it comes to Fridays here. Last week, 2 and 4, I think. But in my defense, Daniel Jones got hurt. And Alexander Madison really screwed us there a little bit. But
I bet that one, and
outright.
I was watching that the whole time, and it looked like he was going to go under the entire game until the very end.
Yeah, that was extremely frustrating. Wasn't a fan of that. I also, if you did bet all those just straight up, you probably were up units anyways because the Vikings did win that on the money line. Or for Dad, a guy that I've talked about a million times on here, Rashid Shaheed over 2.5 receptions, -105. I'm okay with you even taking this up to 3 or 4, whatever your heart desires. Vikings are pretty shitty against slot receivers. We'll just call it as it is. And his receiving yards are a little inconsistent. So I see a lot of Twitter going after the receiving yards. That part's inconsistent. What's not inconsistent is how many targets and receptions are always there for this kid. So I think given the Vikings, given, the inconsistency, I really like this number over 2.5. Dud. Okay. We're doing it again. But then I'm never doing it after this. We're going back to Madison. And then it's done. I was going to take a Dak prop, but it felt very whatever. We're taking Madison under 47.5 rushing yards. This number has bumped up because of last week. He barely went over last week. We're running it back. We're going to take the under this number.
Okay.
My other option was, and I just want to sneak it in here, is I do like Dak Prescott to go under his it's 249.5 passing yards, -110. Last time they played the Giants, 143. We all saw that. You ever watched? It was awful. You had no option because it was the first Sunday night football game. It wouldn't shock me if he gets pulled halfway through. It wouldn't shock me if this is a Tony Pollard game. So I like him to go under that number as well. So it's just a side, an extra dud. I felt bad calling him a dud because he's going to kick the shit out of my fucking team. It was wrong. Yeah. Dumb fuck bet is also going to be a Dak bet. It's going to be a Dak interception plus 30. Because I need something to root for. I need to feel something during this game. The Giants defense has been playing a little bit better. Their offense sucks, but we're going to go with a Dak interception. He likes to throw them. So somewhere in between passing yards, he's going to throw one.
All right, great. And your dog.
My dog this week. I want to run it back to the Vikings, but I think it's a stupid decision here. Let's see what else we got. This one I kind of like talking out. Do I do it again? Do they figure it out? The dogs kind of suck this. Ooh, Arizona Cardinals plus 105.
I did already bet that, but I am biased. So
Kyler back.
Kyler coming back.
Coming back? You have my attention, Kyler. Let's do it. Do we take Kyler against the shitty Atlanta Falcons? Does that give what they need? It kind of adds into the theory of when these guys come back. Let's do it. Let's take the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, you took the Vikings against the Falcons last week, and it worked out for you.
Yeah, right? So fuck the Falcons on the show, apparently. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. All right.
Not sure I feel super confident, but that's all right. We can run through
recap that real fast for everybody.
All right. Dad is Shaheed over 2.5 receptions. Dud Madison under 47.5 rushing yards. Dumb fuck Dak interception plus 135. And dog, we're going with producer Ryan's Arizona Cardinals plus 5 on the money line. Tyler's back. I'm ready. I don't care that Call of Duty came out.
Awesome. All right. Let's get out of here. Thanks for everybody for watching. We'll be back next week on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, except when we have technical difficulties, which sorry we missed the Wednesday show, but it was it was Stephie's Wi-Fi. Could not figure it out.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys. Go get a drink. We'll see you on Monday. Good luck this weekend.
Watch him make it, break it, break it, break it.